Hello, Sheila. I just want to say that I think this is what happens when you face a real army who can actually fight you back. Both the Americans and the Israelis are not used to being punched in the face, and despite what people like yourself...
Can I just beg to differ? I think the Israelis in particular are very used to being punched in the face by Iranian-backed missiles flying into their backyard.
Yeah, guerrilla armies are not the same as real armies, you know. Bombs are bombs for sure, but
bombs are bombs for sure, and thousands of them have hit Israel. We can't. I mean, whenever I say this, people say, "Oh, blooming Israeli shill." I'm not an Israeli shill. I don't agree with everything Benjamin Netanyahu decides to do. Of course, I don't. Why would I? I don't believe with everything any politician decides to do. But you cannot tell this story in any meaningful way and ignore the fact that Israel is currently under constant bombardment and frequently, with or without wars like this happening, also under bombardment. Iranian-backed bombardment, Jonathan.
No, Sheila.
Yes,
no,
Jonathan.
No.
You know that's true.
Israel is being hit in a way that it's never...
But you know it's true. So the idea that they aren't used to being punched in the face, as you put it, is nonsense.
No, it's not, because they're supplied by a superpower, the United States. And there are two things at stake here. One is...
Who are Hezbollah supplied by?
Sorry?
Who are Hezbollah supplied by? And Hamas? You
cannot compare, if you're serious, a organisation like Hamas or Hezbollah with having...
I'm not. I'm asking you who they are supplied by.
They do have weapons, but they're
Who are they supplied by?
Probably Iran.
Thank you.
My point is that Israel is not used to being blown up. They're not used to it. It's a really unusual phenomenon. You need to see the images of what's happening in Tel Aviv. They're being turned into Gaza. Also...
They're not.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
No, I'm well aware that some of the missiles have hit. I'm well aware of that, Jonathan. All too aware. And I'm well aware that they've hit hard in Iran as well, and civilians have died, and we still haven't had a definitive account of what happened in that school. But I'm well aware of that. But the idea that Tel Aviv is destroyed is nonsense.
I didn't say it was destroyed. It's being hit.
Well, you said it's being turned into Gaza, which sadly is destroyed.
If you see the images that actually...
You need to choose your words so that they are accurate, Jonathan.
Israel is being hit like never before, and that's one of the reasons why Trump has been forced back to the table. Also, you have a situation where the economies of the world are absolutely they're in a very, very fragile place.
Yeah.
And he has to move because nothing good will come out of the situation in the next couple of weeks for the world, the entire world. He has to move.
He has to move. You mean stop?
No, Trump has to bring something to the table. He has to. Because it's going to be a meltdown for most of the world's economies.
Because of the Strait of Hormuz.
Because of the Strait of Hormuz.
I think you're right.
Right. That's why. It's not because there's another reason. There are the two reasons why he has to backtrack from where he once was.
Well, I would agree with one of them.
Well, yeah, because you love Israel. I understand that. That's okay. But the reality is that...
What do you mean I love Israel?
You do. You have this thing about Israel. You always protect...
I don't love or loathe Israel. I don't love or loathe Iran.
No, you have this thing about Israel.
I don't have a thing about Israel.
You do.
Well, maybe you have a thing about Israel, Jonathan.
I don't.
What's your thing about Israel?
I have nothing against Israel. I'm just saying that...
Are you sure?
They're not used to...
Are you sure?
What do you mean, am I sure?
I'm asking you, are you sure?
They're not used to getting...
Do you think it should exist? There's a good starting point.
What a silly question to ask.
Well, not necessarily, because some people don't think it should exist. I'm just doing my job, Jonathan. Do you think it should exist?
Well, yes, it's there, isn't it? So
no. But are you glad it's there? Let me answer my questions before I ask you to. I'm glad it's there. I think it should be there. I think the Jews need a homeland. What do you think?
I don't... Well, that's to do with the issues of the Jews in Europe.
Why can't you answer a question without giving me a little lecture on history? I'm telling you what I think. You do me the honour of telling me what you think.
The Jews need a homeland from where they come from in Europe. That's where they need a homeland.
Why are they in Europe?
Because they come from Europe, don't they?
So you don't think Israel needs to exist?
Yeah, but oh dear.
Well, these aren't difficult questions, Jonathan. Honestly, they're not. They're like politics 101. I do think it needs to exist. I'm glad it exists. I don't love it or loathe it. What about you?
Why has Israel's existence...
No, you can't keep asking me a question. You need to answer the question.
Why has Israel...
Do you think Israel has caused disproportionate pain compared to historically other countries around the world? Do you really think that?
Yes, I do, absolutely.
So now we do know what you think about Israel. It's a special case, but not in a good way. Susan in Islington, hello. Question to you at the beginning of this hour about the various statements from Donald Trump over the weekend. On the one hand, threatening to obliterate Israel's power installations and energy installations, and then less than 2 days later saying great talks going on, new understanding between Iran and the US, and postponing things for 5 days. We'll see. Solomon in Manchester, hello.
Hello, Sheila, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah. So, look, Sheila, with me, it's funny because Trump has threatened to obliterate Iran more times than I've sat on the toilet.
Well, not Iran, but installations in Iran, not the whole country.
Yeah, but he's threatening to obliterate this, obliterate that.
Yeah,
but
he is.
Here we are still, Iran standing strong. You know, they're holding the world on hostage, you could say. And here we are. And it's the thing about it is that Trump is a coward. That's the thing, right? So it's like, you know, he's pushing the world into this sort of, you know, World War III, the beginning of World War III, you could call it, if you want to call it that. And then you've got Netanyahu, who, you know, he was very vocal at one point, and now he's like, well, his AI videos coming out? Is he alive? Is he dead? Like, what? These men are just cowards, and that's what. And Iran can see this. They can see that they're cowards, right? And they're thinking, you know what? Let's have a go. Let's have a go.
What tells Iran that they're cowards?
Well, I mean, look, if you're going to talk around, if you're going to come to the public media and say, look, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to give you 48 hours, blah, 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 I'm going to give you 48 hours to do this. And then we're like, oh, okay, go on then, do it, and you don't do it, I'm going to think you're a coward. If you told me you're going to punch me in my face and you don't do it, and I'm saying, go on, do it, and you don't do it, I'm going to look at you as a coward. Well,
I mean, in the last 3 weeks, nearly 4 weeks, they've done a fair bit of punching in the face on Iran, haven't they?
Yeah, you could say that,
well,
but it's not really punching in the face, is it? Let's be honest, because a punch in the face would be...
Well, nobody's punching anyone in the face.
No, they are. Israel's getting punched in the face, blatantly. Like, we all know this.
What do you mean when you say that?
I mean, like, I'm just trying to get past the term punch in the face. If we're using punch in the face as a metaphor for attacking a country, fine, let's agree that we are we? Yeah.
Well, then you can't say that America hasn't punched Iran in the face. It very much has.
No, I'm saying, okay, I'll say America, they've not punched Iran in the face, I would say they shoved them and pushed them around, right? Because punching Iran in the face is taking control of the Strait of Hormuz.
They killed, well, it's more than that, isn't it? They killed...
No, come on.
The leader of the country and multiple members of the regime.
Okay, great, but you know what? They've got another one on.
They destroyed various... Well, I know. They destroyed multiple sites of importance. As you know, I'm based on what I'm being told and you're being told. That's all, and either of us can do. So it's just nonsense to say that they just given them a shove.
No, it's not nonsense because they've done this.
I'm remembering you now. I'm remembering you.
They've done this. One second. They've done this.
All right,
they've done that. Yeah.
Get it off your chest.
Okay, 1 second. They've done this. They've done that in it. Yeah, but think about it. They've changed their leaders, right? They've rearranged stuff, right? And they've rearranged whatever they need to do with their political government.
Well, they've got a leader that nobody has seen.
Sorry?
They've got a leader that nobody has seen.
It doesn't matter because look,
Trump's not hiding away. You said he was a coward. I'm looking at him right now.
No, but what I'm saying, no, 1 second. I'm saying, innit, Trump, he likes to portray himself as this strong man and, I want to do this, 48 hours, blah, 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 blah. But then he turns around, innit, and goes back on his word and he's a coward. Netanyahu, we don't even know where he is, if he's dead or alive. This is the kind
we do know Benjamin Netanyahu is alive.
No, we don't know.
Okay, yeah, all right. I gave you time to get off your chest and you did. Baba has called from Radcliffe. Hello, Baba.
Oh, hello, Sheila. Nice to speak to you again.
You too.
Yeah, this situation with Trump changing his mind, it's just basically Trump. It's the term that, is it the Americans that use, he always chickens out?
Yeah, what do they call it? Taco.
That's it, yeah. Trump always chickens out. Yeah, so that's exactly what he's done again.
We don't know yet. It's too early, isn't it?
Well, yeah, to be honest, we don't know nothing and that Trump's going to do until it's actually done and when we're beyond it. So absolutely, I agree with that. And obviously, along with the catastrophe, Israel, along with the United States of America, have caused the entire planet. Not to mention, you know, the constant bombardment that Israel's causing upon Lebanon, and then obviously the attacks on Iran as well. Not to mention the ongoing, catastrophes that are happening in Gaza. And then obviously Trump joining in with all
the West Bank.
And the West Bank also.
Which I'm going to talk about more a bit later in the week. Actually, we need
the constant land grabs since 1948 from people that have lived there for generations, and the claim being that the land was promised to them 2,000 years ago. All of this has combined to obviously where we are today, and now everyone's kind of paying for the price for it. Literally, the genocide goes on in Gaza.
Well,
it's just.
Does it?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I always do this, Baba, because it's far from established that there's been a genocide in Gaza. I know that lots of people are convinced about it and point to all kinds of reports that have said there have been, but
wasn't it? Just to come back to you on that. Wasn't it? Wasn't it the World Health Organization?
All kinds of
organisations. Official organisation that I've said, and the only people that have said
a committee of people. Yeah.
Yeah, that is not the only people that say.
But Baba, you're saying the genocide is, as you describe it, is going on in in Gaza. Who runs Gaza?
Probably the Israelis.
No, Hamas run Gaza.
Gaza.
Hamas run Gaza.
Well, no.
What do you think Hamas are doing now? What do you think they're doing? What do you know what they're doing?
They're doing the same thing.
They always did, which is to tyrannise.
They're both the same coin. Two different sides of the same coin.
I don't agree with that.
Well, I
know you do, but I'm just telling you I disagree with you.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, it is fine.
They are, for me, they're two sides of the same coin. And the people in the middle are the innocent Palestinians and the Israelis. The Israelis were obviously part of the Palestinian region originally, and unfortunately, outside powers came in and then ruined everything. The
Palestinian region. The truth is, the Judeans, what you call the Israelis now, long predate the time that region was ever called Palestine, or Philistine as it was called years ago, by the Romans. We've all got to learn a lot more history. Thank you very much, Baba. Robert in Dulwich. I include myself in that, by the way, Baba. Robert in Dulwich.
Hello, Sheila. I think any reasonable human being would want all war to end, really. I think it's a sort of basic tenet of humanity that it seems over the last 25 years we've lost. I mean, the last few weeks have gotten me thinking about that Tony Benn speech in Parliament. I think it was when the Iraq invasion was announced. I wasn't actually born then as well, but it sort of etched into my memory of don't Arab mothers weep for their children. And I think that the messaging that comes out of the White House now is so far from anything like that. You have Pete Hegseth talking about no rules of engagement, we're going to obliterate them, and we're going to kill them, and almost treating it as if it is a video game. And I think the American population and their support base to some extent has facilitated that bloodlust, whether it's through their media, whether it's through their gaming, their movies, their TV shows, that has become like this thing. Killing is glorified and death is somehow not an awful thing.
Do you think you can ever, I'm not specifically talking about this war, although some people could make an argument for this, do you believe in the idea of a just war?
100%. I mean, look, I'm not, I'm a humanitarian. I'm not someone who says, if the Nazis were invading in Britain in 1939, that we just lay down and let them do so. But to even pretend this is a just war in any sort of way is beyond imagination. It was never going to work.
It's beyond everybody's imagination, Afzal. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons to argue against it. Of course there are, and there should always be all kinds of reasons to argue against all wars. But there are people who feel that it is just to go and try to get rid of that regime. I'm not naive. I know there's a lot more to it than that from the American perspective. But there's an argument for that. And you mentioned Tony Benn's famous speech. You'll remember probably in 2015, his son's, I think, equally famous speech when he was Shadow Foreign Secretary, heard in complete silence in the House of Commons as he issued an impassioned plea for Britain to join airstrikes, I should say, against what he called the fascists of Islamic State in Syria. I mean, would you describe the Iranian regime as fascist? It's certainly tyrannical and totalitarian.
I think there's a fundamental difference between the Islamic State, Daesh, and the Iranian regime.
What is it?
The Iranian regime, frankly, is still a state. They are a sovereign state.
The Islamic State declared themselves a state.
Well, they declare themselves, but
you mean they're a recognised state in international?
They're a recognised actual sovereign state, and I think
they're doing things just as bad, aren't they, as IS?
Arguably, but then I'm also not a fan of the moralism that we seem to carry into these debates, because then, look, Sheila, for anyone who wants to argue against that, they just have to point to the US's records of funding various dictatorships and various terror groups and various proxies, whether that's in Nicaragua, whether that's in...
I'm not making the argument for this.
I'm just saying this moralism, it brings a very dangerous game. I think we can say their regime is reprehensible in the way it treats its people and the way it funds proxy groups in the region, sure, but we're also lying to ourselves for pretending that every single other major power in that area doesn't do the exact same thing to the exact same goal. And I think
sorry, say that again. Every single power in that region does the exact same thing?
Every single major power. Yes, Saudi Arabia will be funding their own groups. The UAE is funding the RSF in Sudan. Israel is also funding the RSF in Sudan. If everyone has their own horse in this race, I mean, it's horrible. And I think that's one of the reasons we should, actually have a strong system of international rules-based order to prevent states from doing this. But we can't pretend that only one state is doing this and no one else is.
And imagine for a second that I am a British-Iranian refugee here today. Lived here for maybe 20 years, maybe more. Maybe I've got citizenship even here now, but I'm from Iran and my children are Iranian. And I say to you, how are we going to make the beautiful country, my beautiful country of Iran, safe again? For me to visit, for me to see my family, for my nieces and nephews not to be murdered for expressing a political opinion, for my nieces not to be killed or arrested, or impugned in some other way for not covering their hair. What's the answer to that?
I think the answer to that is we need to return to negotiation, we need to return to a settlement, because this current way is not going to work. You don't get regime change by bombing a people into submission, because what we will find is that more people will become reluctant supporters of this regime than turn vehemently against it, because they realise, and the Iranian people are very educated, they realise that Israeli and US bombs, or freedom is not found, on the explosive ends of Israeli and American bombs. The 2014 nuclear deal...
Or Iranian bullets.
100%. And the Iranian nuclear deal that Obama negotiated, the long-term strategy of that is we integrate Iran into the Western economies, we allow them to import their oil, we reduce sanctions on them, so that the more reformist elements of the Iranian government get eventually to a point.
That sounds, and I'm not being patronising, I don't mean to be patronising when I say that all sounds great, but lots of Iranians, both in Iran, if they are able to communicate outside, and plenty in this country, are telling us they don't have that kind of time. They don't have that kind of time. They are so badly abused by the Iranian regime. They just don't have that kind of time. Thank you, Afzal.